Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week we cover 1982's Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
You don't really know much about Halloween. Halloween, the barriers will be down between the real and the unreal. And the dead might be looking in. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago when the hills ran red.
Halloween, the children.
You happen to know anything about this Cochran?
All I can tell you, mister, is watch out. He's watching you, friend, I guarantee you that.
Trick or treat, trick or treat.
Hey, Mr. Cochran, just what is the final process? Fellas, I was just kidding.
Witchcraft. To us, it was a way of controlling our environment.
Hey!
Where are they taking her?
They're taking her to the factory.
I want a mask. Can I have a mask?
Just what I had in mind for you, little buddy. Why, Cocker? Why? Do I need a reason?
I've got nothing here to indicate there was ever a body at all.
Operator, this is an emergency.
I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever. A joke on the children. I'm glad you'll be able to watch it.
You've got to believe me.
They're going to kill us. All of us.
Stop it!
The world's going to change tonight, Doctor. Happy Halloween.
Stop it!
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, the night no one comes home.
Season of the Witch.
We're going to talk about this movie for like 49 years.
Yeah, normally we would be doing our second serving this week, but in honor of October, we decided to pass that up.
Yeah, we're just giving it to our third serving because you're all greedy. We're really hungry. We're going to serve it up 3 times fold. So this movie is universally hated by many, but also loved by many.
It's about 50-50. Half the people you meet love it, and half the people just hate it.
I think the people that hate it, I'm just going to go out on a limb, are people that are like, what the hell is this? It's not Halloween 3. Where's Michael Myers? I feel like that's the whole thing. Where's Michael Myers?
They just never got over it. It's been 30 years and they still haven't gotten over it.
Get over it. You know what the intentions are. You should know by now. This was set to be a whole kind of anthology series where every film was going to be something different that was happening on Halloween night. It didn't work out because, cool things like that were not a thing. Now that shit would take off, I think.
Yeah, they could do the Netflix series of this every year, or like Blumhouse when they were doing their a horror movie for every holiday there for a while.
And I think those films sucked.
Yeah, I don't think we ever saw a really good one in that one, did we?
No, we did not. So we have some recognizable people in the cast.
Of course, you have Tom Atkins. Everybody knows him. I think he's the new official Scream King.
Scream King. But he doesn't really... He only screams in this movie. Oh, I guess, he's screaming at people or zombie-ish people in Night of the Creeps.
Yeah.
He's screaming in the fog. Right? Okay. So
he's a screamer. He's making screamers.
I had to think about it. I was like, is he really screaming? But it's like manly screaming. It's like that mustache is going to just take over. He's going to have his own like mini shotgun mustache. That should be its own movie. We have Nancy Loomis, or Kais, however, before and after divorces and everything, who plays Atkins' ex-wife. She has supporting roles in like almost every John Carpenter. She's Annie in Halloween. That's going to be where most people are going to know her from, unless you're someone that loves Carpenter, and then you're going to be like, oh, it's her. I've seen her in all of them. She's in The Fog. She's in Assault on Precinct 13th. And she's actually also married to Tommy Lee Wallace at this time of when this film came out, and she was pregnant.
Yeah, they worked their wives into a lot of these movies because, you know, when Escape from New York came out, that's got Adrienne Barbeau and Kurt Russell's wife was in that at the time.
That's just, you know, I guess you're on set, you know, you live in life.
So they're there, you might as well work them into a little part, and you might not have to pay them.
I think that might be illegal. Jamie Lee Curtis is in this film.
Briefly.
And I'm not going to tell you where she's in the film or how she's in the film if you've never seen the film, which you should.
I think everybody's seen it at this point.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some kind of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch version, which they should have just named the film Season of the Witch. I mean, mind you, they already knew that if you were going to put Halloween in front of it, which I guess that was like the whole ploy for getting the people to think that Michael Myers was going to show up. Technically, Michael Myers has a cameo. There's a lot of cameos in this film.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that show up.
They're just popping up left and right.
Yeah, and people have been forever trying to figure out how to work this into the Halloween timeline with Michael Myers being on TV saying, oh, well, that was the movie they made about the events that happened in Halloween, or in Haddonfield on Halloween. So who knows? They're always trying to work that in.
Stretching it.
Yeah, the other person we've got in this is the head warlock, is Dan O'Herlihy, who you'll know him from everything. He's been in everything that was made in the 70s and 80s, but most importantly, he was in The Last Starfighter in full lizard makeup, and he was in RoboCop as the boss of the company, who they just called the old man through the whole thing, and he had the two greatest lines in the movie, "You're fired."
I do not remember that film at all, so I'm going to have to rewatch that so I can join in the "you're fired" fun.
Oh, it's well worth it. Those are the best lines in the movie. When I saw that in the theater, it was a special sneak preview, and people were about to tear the house down. They were so excited.
The other stars of the film, for me anyways, are the Don Post mask, which are the, no pun intended, the skeleton, the witch, which, no pun intended again, were actually existing Don Post masks. Those were already around. They didn't have to make those for the movie. The jack-o'-lantern is the one they made for the film. And then, of course, like in all things, you know, they also use the mask to promote the film, which is pretty dope.
I was just watching them burn all the masks on that one point, and we're just like, oh, God. They didn't have CGI back then. They just really burned all those cool masks. And probably multiple times, because, you know, they probably had to do multiple takes of it.
Yeah, it probably stink like heck.
Yeah, I bet that place was not smelling good. But still, I was just, you know, traumatized by seeing all those beautiful masks go up.
And then the place where it's set, which is Santa Mira, which is a fictional place. And it's not a good place to live because a lot of shit goes down in that place. So if I just happen to just move there, you know, first of all, when you watch the movie, it's like, who the fuck wants to live there? It's creepy as fuck.
And it looks like the town only has about 5 buildings and 18 people that live there.
Yeah. It's also the city, or I should say town, for Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, apparently any town with Santa in front of it in California is not good, because Santa Mira, you've got robot warlock causing the end of the world. You've got aliens planning to take over the world coming out of there. Santa Carla, you've got all the goddamn vampires. So any place in California with Santa in front of it is not a good place to live.
Yeah, I think because it's like saint, like, we're in Spanish, so it's literally trying to go out of its way to be evil.
Yeah, it's like, this is defiant. It just doesn't. It's like, fuck you guys, I'm going to be evil.
Yeah, I would not move there. No. You would have to pay me all the money in the world, because I'm not trying to get into a fucking pod, and I'm not trying to, you know, have worms and crickets and scorpions and snakes, you know, crawl out of my fucking skull.
Yeah, I love the fact on this that the mask, when there's a misfire, it fires a laser beam into the woman's face that burns off half of her face, and then also summons snakes, crickets, everything else. That's one hell of a laser beam.
Yeah, it's an intense laser beam.
So when the signal goes out and attacks all the kids, we don't see any lasers. So the lasers only fire if you scratch the thing wrong, I guess.
Yeah, if you have like a misfire or whatever, that's when it's not working.
Yeah, that's when you get the laser.
Well, let me tell you, that's not the only thing that's working really hard in this movie, because that fucking old man, the whole reason why there is a movie is the, in town, whatever, store owner or whatever that figures out the shit's going down. He's fit as hell, okay? This is an old man. He is running for his life. No sweat, okay, at all on the forehead. I'm like, this guy is either a marathon runner, okay? Because if that was me, I would have literally ran out of the factory and maybe down the little hill, and then I would have just had to throw myself and roll down because I would have not been able to run that fast.
No, and here's something else I'll bring up that I've always wondered, that we could always do a great prequel to this, is, the movie starts off, this guy ends up in the hospital, and then eventually Tom Atkins and the guy's daughter go and investigate why he's in the hospital and all this, and they find out that, surprise, the happy toy makers at Silver Shamrock are actually warlocks, and they're going to use the magical pieces of Stonehenge that they've put in every Silver Shamrock decal to turn all the world's children into snakes, spiders, crickets, all this kind of stuff on Halloween. Because, fuck you, that's why. Because you fucked us over years ago, so we're going to do this to you now, apparently. But what they never explain is, how did the guy find out what was going on? How did he figure out that they were warlocks and they were going to do all this? They never really explain how he stumbled into the whole thing. What happened to him that he figured this out?
I don't think he figured the whole thing out. I think that he probably saw the,
ginormous
Cochrane
piece of Stonehenge that they have in their warehouse.
No, not that. Maybe he saw that, but I'm thinking he saw, the humanoids doing something weird, like the freaking robots being all robot-y, because they were not really trying to be human. I mean, like the first one that gets killed, gets smushed by a car, and he just kind of deflates. It's like a very unhuman death right then. And not even, we're 15 minutes into the movie.
Not even that.
Not even that. 5. And it's like that fucker's a robot. Right off the bat. You never see the movie, there's something wrong with that dude because he just died weird.
Or you just assume he's a really terrible actor.
I mean, damn. Yeah, he would have to be a really, really, really terrible actor.
I would love the thing too. There was a quick line in there about, it was really hard to get that over here. It's a fucking piece of Stonehenge. It's 50 feet tall and probably weighs 1,000 tons. How the hell did they steal a piece of Stonehenge and get it over here?
FedEx.
This is the prequel I want. I want them to show how Cochrane got the piece of Stonehenge over, and I want them to show how Ellie's dad figured out what was going on. This is the Netflix show that I want, where it starts out a little before the movie and then continues on the movie. Because the movie starts on October 23rd and ends on Halloween. So here's my pitch, Netflix. You start the show on October 17th, a week before. And then you show what happened the week before the movie in the first couple of episodes, and then we catch up.
We want all the credits for this idea, by the way.
Yes, I just send the check to me.
Stay tuned to the horror at gmail.com.
Yeah, get it right. We want the check to come there.
Well, there was 3 writers on this, which you have the original writers like Nigel Neal. Then you have Tommy Lee Wallace coming in with John Carpenter to do what they need to do because Neal backed out. He was like, I'm done. He was too violent or something, whatever. He left. So
no, he didn't take criticism, they said, according to the documentary on the disc, was that he did not take criticism very well, which I'm guessing they had some notes for him, and he didn't care for that.
He was out. Well, I don't know what happened because John Carpenter maybe Tommy Lee Wallace at the same time was like, hey, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if it was like from Stonehenge? Because wink, wink. That's how I got the inspiration to do The Fog, which came out 2 years prior to this one. Wink, wink. So we're going to do another Stonehenge one because I'm really into Stonehenge. And then in the beginning of the film, the people are watching TV and they're talking about Stonehenge, which obviously later on at the end of the film, you see how that kind of all ties together.
Because they're all talking about how they got, excuse me, how a piece of Stonehenge is missing. Because no one in England noticed that.
Yeah, well, it's very foggy there. Hello, obviously, the fog.
You'd think someone would notice. It'd be like someone took a fucking building and no one noticed.
Well, and you know, the guy, what did he die from? Like, did he die? Well, I guess because he got his whole thing. I thought that when I first watched this film, way back when, I always forgot that the storekeeper, where the fuck are we at? Ellie's dad, that he, you know, gets his eyes like bludgeoned inward in the hospital. I always thought he died after his marathon run. No. That's why he took him to the hospital. He was exhausted. He was like, I'm done.
No, he was just freaked out and screaming. That was what I thought it was weird they brought him to the hospital. He's just yelling and screaming and, you know, freaked out. He's not hurt. They check him out. He seems okay. But yeah, I love how that guy just goes in, the humanoid robot or whatever. He just goes in, sticks his finger down into his eye, and then like breaks his nose from the inside. It's a pretty fucked up way to go.
I mean, robot death. I don't want to get killed by a robot, man. Like,
but what I love is how you point this out. First of all, the robot puts on gloves before he commits this murder because I guess he doesn't want his fingerprints in the, you know, robot database or whatever. Then after he's done murdering him, he wipes the gloves off on the curtain of the hospital.
With the blood on them. He's like wiping the blood off. Why are you doing that? And then you walk down the corridor, you get in the car, you pour gasoline on yourself, man. What was the point of that? Why did you go through all of these? But he's a robot. He doesn't know. I mean, he's like, He's
just programmed, I guess. But yeah, why are you cleaning up after yourself, robot, when you're going to go set yourself on fire in 5 seconds? Are you afraid they're going to yell at you?
I am a clean robot.
You don't give a shit. You're about to be burned up in the fucking car.
I don't know that until I enter the car and then they tell me to burn myself alive.
I love how this movie too is it's like real life because the next day the car is still burned out husk of the car is still sitting there with all the shit around it, and the like cops are like, we'll get to it eventually, we'll haul it out.
Forensics didn't come to get the fucking part. No one came and do anything. Well, I guess they kind of did get the little scraps, right? Because that's how Tom Atkins has something to deliver his friend who has to do a little research. It doesn't work out well for her. Spoiler alert.
Which again, why did they need to go kill her? The car burned up, and they were like, oh yeah, we didn't find any human ashes in it. That's weird. You'd think they would just be like, that is weird. I wonder what happened. Well, somebody must have fucked up and just sent them to the wrong place. But now, when someone goes and murders the coroner who's investigating this...
Alert.
With a drill through the ear, that's going to draw some attention. And they're going to be like, hey, this case has got another murderer tied to it. We should probably dig into this more. Lay low, witches. That's what you need to do. These warlocks are out of control.
You know, they're warlocks, so they got a staff, and their staff is thinking for their staff. There's a lot of stuff going on.
And apparently Colonel, or I always call him Colonel, but his name is Connell Cochran. Apparently he's the only real human at the place.
He doesn't really like people. I don't know if you like saw him at all, but his interactions with the actual humans is very robotic. There's one point where he's like smiling at the family, and it's like how you think someone that's never smiled before was like instructed how to smile. It's a weird fucking off like putting smile. It's like he's never smiled. He's like, it's killing him just to put the smile on his face. So he himself is a fucking robot. Like, that's why they're doing crazy things, because they're all emulating Daddy. Daddy Warlock. So.
But yeah, and we haven't even got to, we've talked a little bit about Tom Atkins, but man, Atkins in this movie is out of control.
So let's go through the different layers of Atkins in the film. He goes from he's a father, okay, who's an alcoholic doctor, okay, then he becomes a fucking investigator. I mean, goddamn, he has so many roles. And in between all of that, he's one hell of a lover. I mean, fuck, and a flirt. Not even 12 minutes into the movie, Tom Atkins is slapping one of his employees on the ass.
And then saying, hey, why don't you just come in there and take a nap with me? It's like, yeah, this is why you would be fired immediately now, Tom. You can't do that anymore.
No. And, you know, it's an ethnic lady, and she's just laughing and laughing. She's just laughing, because what is she going to do? She can't be like, the white man touched my butt. No one is going to believe that back in the day. Like, they were just going to gaff her off. Like, she's just crazy. What are you talking about? He flirts with everybody. If it was wearing a skirt, he was flirting.
And I love when Ellie goes to talk to him about her father's death. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Atkins is in a bar, already half lit. And when he decides to go with her, he brings nothing with him but a 6-pack of Miller.
That's right. He just takes that shit out of the car and just runs across the street. He's like, I got what I need.
That's it. Nobody brought a gun. Nobody brought extra clothes.
They didn't know they were getting into. And you know what?
A flashlight.
First of all, you're
Toolkit?
totally... No, you're way off. Ellie bought 2 fucking things, okay? She bought a black teddy.
Okay.
And I don't remember the other thing that she brought, but was, and a Listerine. That's all this bitch bought. Listerine and a black teddy.
Which tells me she's had these stands before. She's had these road trips before where she's like, well, I got all I need. I got some lingerie and I got some Listerine for afterwards.
I'm going to tell you, she was a little fancy. If she going to like the Motel 6, because let me tell you, it's like Rose Shannon's or some weird...
The Rose of Shannon Motel is where they stay.
No, that's just a Motel 6, an Irish Motel 6.
That's not even a Motel 6. That's not even Motel 6 quality. That's like Motel 1.
Damn, it's
way
really
down
bad
on the list. Yeah, it's bad. That's the kind of motel where they say they have a continental breakfast and you don't want to do it because it's been there for a year.
It's just like literally you could kill someone with how hard the fucking croissant is. It's like a boomerang.
Yeah, you throw it and it comes back to you. Yeah, it's bad news. Do not stay at the Rose of Shannon Motel. First of all, what the hell is that name? That sounds like a weird like Christian like sex book that they would give to the kids to explain why you shouldn't have sex. And now read The Rose of Shannon, where Shannon learns that by giving her rose to the man before marriage, she doomed herself to hell forever.
Wow, you really just went with that. That was just a whole thing. I applaud you, my friend.
That book exists. I assure you that book exists.
I'm going to go to the library and look at that shit right now because I need to read that. Speaking of sex, we have Tom Atkins sex scene, which, you know, you gotta love it. They have the sex, and right off the bat, she's, you know, she asks her little questions, whatever. They have like a 5-second conversation, and she's ready to go. And he's like, "How old are you?" Because
he never thought to even ask. He just assumed she's ready to go. Let's go.
He was not asking any questions. She says she's old enough. We don't really get to know how old she is.
That wasn't a real answer.
But she's old enough. She said,
been 16.
She said, "I look younger than I look." And then they laughed it up. And then, you know, you think about, like, why would a man say that? Like, watching that scene again, I could not help but be like, he's asking her if she's ready, because she has to be young if she's ready to, like, go at it again. Because he's an old man. He's like, look, I'm going to need, like, 30, 45 minutes, maybe a whole day. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it again. You know, and God bless him. You know, he is the mustache strength.
He draws strength with the mustache and just goes for round 2 and 3.
He sure does. He takes it all. Not coincidentally, the other room is his real life wife who just got like beamed in the face.
That's got to be weird to do sex scenes in the movie while your real life wife is next door or on set watching.
Well, they're no longer married, so...
Well, that might explain that.
I don't know when that happened, but yeah, that must be really weird. And I think that was like the first scene. Why they just try to get, you know, these actors have the sex scenes right off the bat, so then they don't have to like anticipate or back out.
So they can't back out.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying like the anxiety of it all.
Well, that, and like I said, they can't hold him hostage on that one either. They can't wait till the last minute and go, oh, well, now I'm going to need an extra so much money if you want me to do this sex scene. Since you've already shot 3/4 of the movie, you can't replace me. So now they do the sex scenes right off the bat. Day one, sex scene. Let's go.
I wish they would have found, now this happened and, then finally we get to see Cochran. Now we're in the factory. There's a family that's come to pick up their order. They're like also to get like commemorated because they're top selling, whatever shop, joke shop, costume shop in their fucking area.
Because this
in their
was
region.
The days when the mom and pop costume and joke shop ruled the land. There was no Spencer's. There was no Hot Topic.
The good old days.
You had to go back and had to go to that little shady shop somewhere in order to get this place. You couldn't just go to the brightly lit, clean mall. You had to go to the back alley to get this stuff.
I would get my costumes from Woolworths or Ruby's. Those were the places. And those were obviously not mom and pop, but those were the places where I would get my costumes. But yeah, there was always those mom and pop shows. I remember Ruby's, even though it was actually obviously a huge thing. Like, they produced a lot of their own in-house stuff. I always thought they were mom and pop because the stores in New York were always so like quaint, and it wasn't like this big, it wasn't like Spirit Halloween where it's like humongous, walk through. But why did they have to make the family so fucking annoying though? Like, you don't even feel bad. Like, I don't feel bad that these people die.
No, I was just kind of like, there they go.
I feel worse for Tom Atkins. I don't want him to die. Like, I've seen the movie obviously multiple times, but there's always that like, Ryan, Tom, like, I want you to live, even though I know you're gonna live. But it's just, it always gets me. I don't want him to die. Ellie, I'm like, ...
Well, yeah, the whole tone of this movie is kind of strange too. I mean, I like the movie, but at the same time, there's a very odd, it's a weird kind of mix of like, it's serious, but there's so much like weird comedy going on too.
It is very weird. I don't even know where, like, what direction. I mean, when you have so many people, I mean, you have, who knows what the original story. Now, I know that you're really big on like reading like novels and stuff, and so am I, but not a lot of novelizations. Did you ever read the Halloween 3 one?
I read it a long time ago, and I looked at it again before we started this, and while the movie's kind of ambiguous about did they get the other station to stop or not, the book is not. The book, the third station played it, and the hills ran red with blood, just like he said, because all the kids started, flipping over to the third station, and they all died.
Wow. Well, I read that it was like best-selling, like, novel.
Well, yeah, people love the book because the guy who wrote it, it's written under a pseudonym, but the guy who
Jack
wrote it,
something.
Yeah, Jack Martin, I think.
Yeah.
But the guy who wrote it's actually a pretty famous horror writer named Dennis. I think his last name is Etchinson, and he's written a lot of stuff that people like. So once it got out that he was writing it, all of his fans went for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to read and see what kind of take it be. I mean, obviously, with such a fucked up ending.
It's pretty close to the movie from what I remember, except for the ending just goes on a little bit more. And it's like the Funhouse. The Funhouse novelization is written by Dean Koontz. Mm-hmm. And it actually starts way before the movie does. You get the history of, like, I can't remember his name now, the crazy guy that causes all the problems. You get more of his history and life and more of the characters. And because he's like, the movie, I guess, had already come and gone by the time the novelization actually made it out. So Koontz just threw everything into it.
Yeah, it's interesting when they expand that stuff or decide to leave that stuff out. I wonder why they decided to leave it. And I guess they couldn't leave it ambiguous because it was like, we can't just have this movie where all these fucking kids die. Like, we're not going to show that.
Well, too, a lot of times the novels have to be written way before the movie comes out. So a lot of times they're working off the first version of the script. That's why there's a lot of differences in it. And it's the same, like, I know when I was a kid, I read the novelization for Star Trek 2, and there's a lot of scenes in that book that are not in the movie that got cut out, but they were in the original screenplay. So by the time the movie came out, they had completely, re-edited it and taken a lot of stuff out. But there's tons of stuff in the book that you're like, oh, where did that go? So I'm sure it's the same thing.
Those were the good old days of, like, joke shops and stuff like we were mentioning before. And when they go through the factory for the factory tour, you see all these other toys and stuff that that Cochran has come up with, and there were some questionable ones. And then there was
he invented the sticky toilet paper. Well, thank God. That definitely filled a hole in society. We need sticky toilet paper.
He act like he fucking invented apple pie. Like, he's really into it. Like, he's all about it. And you know what? Isn't that a fucked up way to get, like, recognized or, awarded? Is to go and have this thing with your family. Oh, come over for a fucking tour or whatever. And then you get murdered. Like, that's the fucking worst. I'm sure at that moment he was like, God, I wish I didn't have sold all those damn masks. Now I'm dead.
I doubt it. He was being bit by a cobra at the time, I think. So he probably wasn't having any thoughts other except, why is there a fucking cobra biting me?
I feel like the parents' expressions when their kids were dying, they seem kind of like, was it relieved? But then like, oh no, we shouldn't be relieved. We should be sad. I don't know. Their expressions are kind of off, like the way that they reacted to what's happening.
I mean, you saw that kid. Wouldn't you be relieved?
That's fucked up. That's so fucked up.
You saw him and you saw how he acted, they'd just be like, thank God we dodged a bullet on that one.
They were like the Dursleys.
Yeah, don't have to pay any more college, or save any more for college on that one.
That's really terrible. Yeah, what's up with the whole like scorpion snake thing coming out the head? It's a weird combo, and I know it's supposed to be magic, but
I feel like they could have just, if they had just had the kids' heads like explode, that would have got all the kids, but not the adults. They wanted to get kids and adults. So instead of having the kids like, I always thought it'd been better if the kids turned to like murderous, zombie type things and just kind of murdered the parents then.
I think I would have just been totally fine with like the mask making like the skull gooey and just like green, yellow, like pus come out, and then like the end, like maybe like the melting. Can we have like kind of like a Indiana Jones melting of the face kind of thing going on?
I'd rather see the exploding head or turn to rage zombies.
Doesn't it cost more money to have exploding heads?
And then we're only going to show one or two, so
I guess they're going to do that thing where they show the exploding head, but then they show you like 5 more times the exploding head, where it's just like boom, boom, boom.
Like in Howling 2, where you see the same scene like 9 times in a row. But yeah, I just wish they had done a little bit more with it. It was just a weird choice to have the kids turn into snakes and scorpions and that kind of stuff. Because the initial, like, the scorpions and spiders that they turn into, you could just step on them. The crickets are not poisonous. The only thing that's going to get you is the snakes.
Yeah, I guess the snakes, but, I mean, that's your fucking concern? Like, hello, your child is gone. Like, it's dead. Like, the kid is dead.
And I'm still alive.
Damn. Okay, well, not everyone was going to be trapped in...
So you're going to sit there on the couch and be like, oh, no, I should just sit here and let the snake bite me. No, I'm out.
Not everyone was going to be within doors.
There was no outdoor TV back then. There was no projections out there. You were all inside watching this.
I'm saying if you're in your house, like, they purposely got locked in that room. If you're in your house and your kids are watching TV, you're in the kitchen or you're doing laundry, whatever. You're somewhere else where it's not in front of the TV. The kids now have turned into, like, snake, whatever, melted faces. You see that and then you run the fuck out your house. Like, why would you be standing there waiting for the snake to attack you, like you said? Like, you would leave.
I'm out. Like, well, they're obviously gone. I'm out of here. And even if they're not dead, they're covered in snakes, which means they might as well be, because I'm not fighting the snakes to get them.
The whole thing is just really macabre now that I'm really thinking about it. Because you're right, the tone of the movie is kind of like all over the place. I love the movie. I think, it's one of those, like, there's not like a grand selection of horror films that are on set on Halloween. For me, there are very few in between the ones that I like personally. The good ones. I like this one because I do see it as a separate film. I love like the little cameos here and there. I get what happened. I can forgive it. In my mind, it's Season of the Witch. I don't know. I'm not hung up on the whole, like, Where's Michael Myers thing. He needs a fucking break. I mean, he just caught fire. Like, he needs to like, he's somewhere a burned victim in a hospital. It's gonna take him time to come back. He's not gonna be there every fucking Halloween. I mean...
No. Yeah, I always like this movie too, but it is a little bit all over the place. This is one of the ones that I think would be really cool if you come to do a reboot of it. I'd like to see something done with it now with a little bit more money and a little bit more time behind it. I heard a few years ago that Brian Fuller, that did Hannibal, wanted to reboot it. And I thought, ooh, that would be good because, you know, he's crazy and he would make that show the most disturbing thing you've ever seen if he was to do a TV series of Halloween 3. And he said that was his, like, dream project, was to do that.
Make someone's dreams come true. Come on, Brian Fuller. I don't know what you gotta do, but come back, do this. I would totally be there watching it. I'm all about it.
Because if the shit that he got away with on Hannibal on network TV, I would love to see what he could do on something like Netflix with no restrictions.
That would be pretty dope. And give more, definitely more of a backstory. The story is not the best, and I know that, you know, it's not loved by many, but it's a fun one to watch, you know, especially if you love Tom Atkins. Like, I just love him running around, going from his different, you know, layers of the Atkins layers. He's, you know, got beer in one hand, running after...
He's got a beer in one hand and a lady in the other. That's all you need to know about Tom Atkins. He's like the James Bond of horror movies. Men want to be him and women want him.
That's fucking right. That you just hit that shit on the money for real, because I was trying to think, like, okay, The Fog, yeah, he gets it. Halloween 3, he gets it. He doesn't get it in Night of the Creeps though. But he did get it.
Yeah, in his dreams he had 2 girls, so maybe that was a dream he was having, but maybe it was a flashback.
Maybe it was a flashback.
We don't know.
That's actually the only one where, maybe because he's a little older, even though I think that's timeline wise and like the actual years.
Yes, he was a little older in that one.
So he's you know, he's like, oh, I'm respectable. My whoring days are kind of over. So now I'm just gonna save bitches.
And I love that even on the documentary on this, when he was talking about something, he like used one of his lines from Night of the Creeps. He said something about, well, I had to save Spanky. It's like, oh God, he really is all into that movie. He
really is. I give this film, can we just not do knives? Can we do Shamrock?
Yeah, it gets 4 silver shamrocks.
4 silver shamrocks. I give it a solid 3 silver shamrocks.
I'm going 4 because I yes, you know, as everyone knows, I'm old as dirt. So I didn't see this in the theaters because I was too young, but I did see this as soon as it came on HBO. So I've loved this movie for a long time. And it's a 4 silver shamrock movie.
You know, there's not a lot of horror films that have they have their theme song, but this one you can actually sing to and it's fun. And you could actually do it every year, right before Halloween.
And it sticks in your head forever.
Forever. It's a great thing. And, you know, we actually own 3 of the masks. The 2 trick-or-treat ones and the glow-in-the-dark Dawn Post one.
Yep.
And I love them very dearly. I only take them out to look at them every once and again. You know, make sure that their latex is good because I don't want it to get messed up. But I don't want to put like sweat and human germs. Only robotic Cochrane humanoid germs only could go on there. You know, I actually like flicking the little silver shamrock tag in the back and like...
Just to see if you're going to get a misfire and turn your face into scorpions?
Yes! I'm like, am I going to get a fucking scorpion face? Like, what's up?
Okay, do that shit when I'm not home.
What if you fucking came home and I was just a scorpion face?
Well, we're moving. I'm moving. Taking the kid, if she's still around. If she hasn't been eaten by the scorpions that came out of your face, I'm leaving. That's it. We're done.
That would really... You know, I always took it, and obviously I think this is where logically, and whatever kind of logical senses would be, you think of something rotting or dying, there's gonna be maggots, there's gonna be grotesque shit going in and out. So I always just correlated that with something rotting. It's beyond death. It's like in the stages where, the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, kind of thing. It's from...
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, hey, why am I getting the face? It's like a classic. When I think of Halloween, too, I always think of that song. But thank you so much for joining us on this awesome Halloween 3 season of The Witch episode. Stay tuned to the horror.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horror-thon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.